While most of the smartphone makers in 2016 followed a familiar design language, LG decided that modular phones are what consumers want. However, LG G5 is not all about that, as it has a lot more to offer. This is Linus, stay tuned. Well, the LG G5 is not a completely modular phone. You just have an access to their removable 2800 mAh battery. On the other hand, you can attach a few accessories which are called friends, and they are sold separately. For example, you can attach a camera module which gives you some manual controls. At the moment, there aren't too many modules to choose from, but we may see some new ones in the future. When it comes to the actual design of the phone, the device looks okay, but what is more important here is the build quality and the choice of materials. First of all, the LG G5 has been advertised as an all-metal phone, but the problem is that there is a primer coating used on top of metal. Thus, you're not going to feel any metal material on the back once you touch it. A great thing is that the frame is made of aluminum and you can actually feel it. The power button is on the back and it takes some time to get used to it, but the problem with it is that it rattles quite a bit and it feels kind of cheap to me. The button also acts as a fingerprint scanner, which recognizes your fingerprints straight from the standby mode. It is accurate, but it is not the fastest I've tested. Also, there were a few times when it could not read my fingerprint without any reason. The dual camera setup is one of the most interesting parts of this device. We have a main 16 megapixel shooter with a bright f1.8 aperture. Also, we have optical image stabilization and laser autofocus system. There is also a secondary 8 megapixel shooter with a super wide 135-degree lens. By the way, I have made a dedicated camera review with a lot of camera samples, so make sure to check out a link down in the description. The 5.3 inches LCD display, which is covered with a Gorilla Glass 4, is very sharp, quite bright and crisp as it has 2K resolution. Also, it is readable even under direct sunlight. However, I found it to be slightly flickering once pressed just a tad harder, meaning that you are actually touching the LCD panel. This is not what you want to see on a flagship device, and I'm not sure about the long-term durability of the display, to be honest. The always-on display is a pretty cool and power-efficient feature. However, I would love to see some more customization options. The loudspeaker sits next to the USB-C port and it can get very loud. The quality of sound is pretty good, but it could have more depth. However, you will most likely end up covering it up with your fingers as it is placed on the left side and the placement does not make any sense to me. An 8 megapixel shooter is here for selfies, and notification LED lets you know about missed events. The call quality via the earpiece is excellent and the volume output is pretty good. Finally, the IR blaster is a welcome feature if you like to control devices like TVs. Last but not least, sound quality via the headset jack is very good. The LG G5 has all the latest and greatest specs you would expect from a flagship phone in 2016. A Snapdragon 820 chip, 4 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage, which can be further expanded via the microSD card slot, assure that all the latest 3D games will just fly and the graphics will look great. The phone runs on Android 6.0 with the LG's slightly cartoonish looking UI. As usual to the LG, we have quite a few customization options, various tweaks and settings to play with. Not sure whether you need all of them or not, but LG has you covered. After using the phone for 2 weeks, I can tell you that the performance of the user interface is smooth and fast. I have made a dedicated camera review with a lot of samples, and make sure to check out the link in the description down below the video. In short, the main 16 megapixels camera is one of the best I've tested. The pictures come out very detailed with natural looking colors, and the low-light camera performance is pretty good too. My favorite feature is a secondary wide-angle camera, which allows you to fit a lot more into the shot. The image quality is pretty good too, but you may expect some distortion and the level of detail will be lower. A very high standard of image quality also applies to the 4K, 1080p videos and for 8-megapixel selfie camera. Again, make sure to check out my dedicated camera review for more camera samples. Once I first heard that the LG G5 had just 2800 mAh battery, I was kind of disappointed. However, it performs great in real life considering a low capacity of it. On average, I could get around 4 hours of screen on time with the always-on display feature on and over 4.5 hours with this feature off. The battery life is not as good as, for example, Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, but the phone supports Qualcomm's Quick Charge 3.0. With the right charger, the phone's battery will fill up about 80% in just 30 minutes. So there we have it, the LG G5, the phone that is made to be different than its competitors in 2016. The G5 is some sort of a rebel if you compare it to other flagships, and it all starts with its modular design. While it is great that you can quickly swap the batteries and add some new accessories to the phone, but I'm not sure if everyone is interested in it. Tech geeks like me definitely love that, but a lot of consumers just look for a phone that already has it all, without the need of any accessories that are sold separately. On the other hand, the LG G5 has a lot to offer. It has some bleeding-edge specifications, great performance, stellar cameras, the UI with tons of features, and a nice and sharp display. However, you don't really feel that the phone is made of metal due to the primer coating used on top of metal construction. Also, the power button feels kind of cheap and the fingerprint scanner is not the fastest I've tested due to unpolished LG software in this department. Also, I'm really disappointed with a slightly flickering display when it is pressed just a tad harder. The loudspeaker is placed on the bottom left, meaning that you will end up constantly covering it up. All in all, LG G5 is a good and interesting phone and it delivers in a lot of ways. However, it is a device that costs around $650 US and you might expect it to be a near perfect phone. But the LG G5 has some shortcomings that I recommend you to consider before making a purchase. It was Linus, thanks for watching, and as always, check out some other videos, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow TechLine HD on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. See you in the next video soon.